Oh, hello there, Site 42 staff, as well as those of you from the greater SCP Foundation community. And welcome to another Dr. Sherman's Office Hours, a subsidiary of the anomalous broadcast from Site 42. As always, I am Dr. Theron Sherman, Site Director here at Site 42 of the SCP Foundation. And as I always do, daily, for 8.5 months has the daily streak remained strong. I am here to open my office door to you, the SCP Foundation staff, to answer your burning questions about this dark and mysterious place of employment we call the SCP Foundation. So whether you have questions about the anomalies we contain, the staff who contain them, the groups of interest who try to stop us from containing them, or hypothetical containment procedures about anomalies that fall outside of the SCP Foundation's purview, perhaps they're from a different multiverse or pataphysical narrative level, i.e. fandom. Either way, we are here for the next 90 minutes, 1.5 hours, to answer your burning questions. But before we begin, start with a little housekeeping. That is what we do around here. Dr. Val, congratulations on being the #1 most punctual member of today's Containment Hazard Assessment team, i.e. congratulations on being first chatter. Then, Philip November, Dr. Vincent Wren, Researcher Lass, the Bee Librarian, Lalo Kitten, Chest Factory, Amber, Aflac, Dark Duality, Silent Follower, Elkie. Everyone who I have just named, thank you for being punctual to today's Containment Hazard Assessment Team meeting, and thank you for being members of Site 42. We appreciate your membership and your service. Furthermore, Amber Hawthorne, I Like Pandas, Bobster, The Constant of Anafabula, and I am SCP-999. Thank you for being here punctually, and thank you for being here today just for being you. Now, let me quickly check these donations that have come in before I get to our stream subject of the day. Intern Pimp Demon, it seems your message might have broken a chat rule. And so make sure in the future you pay attention to the chat rules so that doesn't happen again. I thank you for your generosity. Please grab yourself a Ramune Cola on your way past the commissary. And, yes, Desk has alerted me that you made the cardinal sin of the Site 42 chat, which is, for your future information, we do not speak about the SCP character known as Dr. Bright. That is because the author avatar, known as Dr. Bright, was used as the author avatar for an author who was called Dr. Bright. And the author, Dr. Bright, did some very, very, very bad things that got them banned from the SCP community so hard that most of the community has gotten rid of the character completely. And so this is not well known because the SCP community is only about 2,000 to 3,000 SCP authors, and maybe 10,000 people visit the site total, versus the millions and millions of fans who are casual fans who never visit the site. So we're not mad at you, but we do not talk about Dr. Bright out of respect for the victims of those alleged very bad misdeeds. And so Desk will share a video in the chat. Desk is our moderator, the one with the blue name. That is called The Last Death of Dr. Jack Bright on this channel. And you should watch that video if you want more information about the problematic creator of the Dr. Bright character and why we don't talk about that character anymore. However, if you want to just swap names with a Dr. Elias Shaw or a Dr. Lachlan Cairns, they are two Dr. Bright replacement characters on the SCP Wiki who are acceptable pseudonyms to refer to that character by, as that character is dead. Dark Duality, thank you for your first donation to today's stream as well as being a member. Make sure to grab yourself some ramen on your way past the commissary. And you asked, did I see my other Ko-Fi? Did I see your Ko-Fi yesterday? Well, I think I responded to a Ko-Fi for you yesterday. Yes. Yes, no. Yesterday was the 26th, and I don't see a Ko-Fi from you at all on the 26th Dark Duality. It might not have gone through. The last Ko-Fi I have from you was on Christmas Eve, when you made a joke about the Yule Man selling its toys and not putting a picture of Shy Guy on the SCP-173 because you'll be the first one to die. And we did talk about that one on stream. I do remember this comment. If there was one from yesterday, a Ko-Fi yesterday, I don't see it here. Desk is asking me if it has something to do with the possible censorship they put on Ko-Fis for certain bad words. The problem is we have that problem so shortly that I actually find it hard to find where that is in the Ko-Fi setup so I can see what the notification was. All tips, monthlies, commission shop orders free. No, that's not doing anything about censored. Profile payment page, social links. I don't see it, Dark Duality. Give me a clue if it did go through, and I'll continue searching for censored later on. But let's keep going on. Aflac, thank you for your first donation to today's stream, as well as being a member. Grab yourself some Cheerios on your way past the commissary. Dr. Sherman, how would the Foundation contain mermaids from Greek mythology? Huh, something from Greek mythology I've actually never heard of. Mermaids is Greek for ants. Greek mythological animals and tribes were called with this name. Gold-digging ants, which are smaller than dogs but larger than foxes. Is this what you're talking about? Anomalous ants? Aflac? Please confirm. Or is there something else I should be looking at? Okay, you are talking about the gold-digging ants. Well, we would isolate their location of home. Hopefully we don't have to rehome a bunch of ants. That would be difficult, but not impossible. We would possibly build a barrier fence or wall around the area. We would have to feed the anomalies and keep them alive. And obviously, if they dig for gold and they find gold, then we would be utilizing them to increase Foundation resources for further experimentation. Pimp Demon, thank you for donating again to clarify. Look, I wanted to say a scientist who would do that, but I only know that guy, and guy with a cowboy hat, who obviously wouldn't do that. Dr. Clef, Dr. Alto Clef, doesn't wear a cowboy hat, I don't believe, and I don't think that you're talking about that person. But both Clef and Kendraki are used very often for ridiculous situations of bad behavior among researchers as well. out there situations. So if you ever need a off-the-wall doctor and you don't feel like using Shaw or Cairns, Clef and Kendraki both can probably do something crazy in character and get away with it for future reference. Okay here. Fine. Thank you for your first donation to today's stream. I actually don't recognize your user handle on Ko-Fi off the top of my head, but thank you for your generous donation to the Ko-Fi. But thank you for making the effort to go to the Ko-Fi, because it has a far smaller tax for creators on donations than the YouTube Super Chats do, so we appreciate that. And you said, have this for the battle against those dirty white names. Oh! Damn it. Thank you for saying that exact phrase. I completely forgot. I'll have to do it after. Hold on. Okay, set for later. Where was I? Fine, grab yourself a big old turkey leg on your way past the commissary, and thank you for your generous donation. Philip November, thank you for clarifying, donating, and as well as being a member and clarifying that that was you. Grab yourself a second turkey leg, and thank you for your generosity. And Dark Duality, thank you for donating to point out that it probably didn't go through or was censored. Since you don't see it on your end, I would assume that it didn't go through at all. I believe if it did go through and was censored, you would still be able to see it. Okay. All right. There are some donations I have missed. I've been skipping around to keep up from clarifications. But I do... let me finish these donations and then I'll get to the stream subject. I don't want to skip ahead yet. So, let's finish these real quick. Dark Duality, thank you for your donation again to clarify. Okay, so I remembered wrong. It wasn't yesterday, but I still sent one more. So yes, that's the one that we don't know what showed up. So, hopefully, we'll see it soon. Or you can just say what's up. You've donated twice talking about what you sent. So, if you tell Desk what you meant to send, we can just call it even there. And then we don't have to worry about it no more. Charlie 10 Pro, thank you for your first donation to today's stream. Grab yourself a mocha on your way past the commissary. The Shadow Spider SCP gave me nightmares, and what do they do? Shadow Spider SCP give me nightmares, and what do they do? Shadow spiders? Do we have shadow spiders? I am unfamiliar, Charlie 10, with shadow spiders. I know about the spider entity. Oh, okay, SCP-538. Shadow spiders. Oh, this is news to me. I'm unfamiliar with this anomaly, but while the wiki browser takes forever to load properly, I don't know what to put here. Welcome to Site42 staff. Thank you for subscribing. As well as... Well, that's our subscriber. Yin Yang Studios. Thank you for subscribing as well. Welcome to staff. 538, shadow spiders. Appear to be animate shadows of an unknown species of spider. 538 appears to feed off of the shadows of other living objects and will move to the nearest shadow cast by a living organism to feed. It does no more than attach itself to the shadow of a host in a manner that the shadow is not obscured. Through this manner, a single specimen can grow up to approximately 15 square centimeters in size. Feeding after this point appears to be simply maintaining the size. Shown itself capable of going through short distances through open, well-lit areas to reach a nearby host or to escape a source of agitation. It will decrease to nothing in the light if it does not get to a shadow fast enough. The organism's shadow will attempt to flee. Upon being bitten, an individual will go through 5 different stages within the space of an hour. Stage 1, the shadow will bite you. Shadow spiders bite. 10 to 15 minutes after being bitten, the subject will begin perspiring heavily and will report feeling cold. A subject will become violent and aggressive. 45 minutes after, your skin color will turn pale and paste-colored. After an hour of being bitten, the subject will data expunged. Ah, yes. The subject will data expunged. You couldn't think of anything cool to put in there, and so you just plugged in data expunged. There's horror in what you can't see. I know that, but back in the early days, they were so lazy about it. Subject will data expunge, resulting fluid will be completely translucent and harmless. And this will, their shadow will disintegrate into shadow spiders, which is how they reproduce. So yeah, that's not great overall. I would have nightmares about that, I think. You don't want that in your life. I don't want that in my life. I was so much happier before I had this knowledge, Charlie 10 Pro. So thank you for that. Ugh. Refreshing the chat. Goldtooth Lair, thank you for your first donation to today's stream. Grab yourself a charcuterie board on your way past the commissary. The anomalous kobold is here. Dr. Sherman, tell me why the dwarves from other foundation broke into my containment to yell at me for a prank I did not do. I demand a new TV, by the way. I thought it was strange that they sent us those borax mugs the other day. Perhaps they thought you were the prankster and we did something nice for them. Or maybe the borax mugs are a prank and we're also getting pranked. We don't know yet. We haven't finished testing them to be safe. Well, I'm not taking responsibility for your TV because I'm sure that something you did irked the dwarfs. They are not so careless as to prank the wrong person. Doc Duality, thank you for donating again to ask, if Yule Man was to sell its toys, would it be on the Black Christmas market, the Black Christmas market of MC Marshall Carter and Dark? So, well, again, as we said the other day, we know that the Yule Man does not sell the toys. It gives them away to the families that it doesn't murder. So, or the children of the families it doesn't murder. So we know it's not going to sell its toys regardless, but I am sure that Marshall Carter and Dark, regardless, would love to get their hands on some of these toys, so to speak, made from the bones of children, and use them for some sort of marketing. Marshall Carter and Dark is fucky like that. We see a Ko-Fi notification here. And let me get it before I forget. Crazy Crafter, thank you for your first donation to today's stream, as well as the SCPs you have written. Always nice to have an author on board. Hi, Dr. Sherman. Shout me out on Discord to revise my works later tonight. I'm planning on doing a mass revision. Shout at me on Discord to revise my works later tonight. I'm planning on doing a mass revision. Well, you have donated to use a YouTuber as an alarm clock. I'll allow it this once. Fine. I go to work after this anyway, so I'll be up all day and night. So yes, expect a message at about, I'd say, 5 p.m. California time, 8 p.m. East Coast America time. And yes, provided that I have your Discord handle in here. What a flex. What a move. Again, this is only one time, and because I think it's funny, this will not be a repeatable action for donations. Do I have friends message requests find? Yep, okay. There's our DM. Perfect. Silly. Silly things. Okay. And Philip November, thank you for donating again to the Ko-Fi to say, I found a gold ring with a strange text on it. I keep hearing some ominous voice and the powerful urge to take the ring somewhere in the mountains. Listen, you give that ring to your very humble friend right now for safekeeping, okay? And then keep an eye on them so that they don't stop being humble. But we need as much leeway as we can get before we can do something with it. I don't think we're going to destroy it because we don't destroy anomalies. So we will certainly instead do some heavy research on it. This should be very fun and interesting. And not at all bad for the Foundation. Nothing bad happens to the Kennedys! Okay. I am caught up with the donations, and the stream subject begins now. I will get to other donations in the standard Q&A after I'm done with this, and honestly, it's going to be short, because right now, Site42 is going a little viral on Twitter, because we interacted with a very popular Twitter user called PESTRiCA. I've never heard the name said, so that's just how I say it in my head, because they are very interesting and fun. PESTRiCA is a plague doctor YouTuber, TikToker, Twitter user, juggler, and jester is the fun part. And so PESTRiCA is very cool. All sorts of juggling with rings and cigar boxes and cool circus stuff, which as a theater adult, I am always a big fan of. And because they're a plague doctor, I have the opportunity to step in and interact with them very easily, because I, Dr. Sherman, known SCP-049 number 1 hater, can always react to SCP-049 lookalikes to make a quick story happen on social media. And so, I made a video creating a skit out of one of PESTRiCA's skits. It's going very viral on Twitter right now. Sometimes this happens on TikTok or Threads or Blue Sky. It depends on the app. It depends on the day. It depends on when the tweet hits sometimes. But it is important to keep track of just for your future content creation, if you plan to do such a thing, to talk about the levels of SCP-ification of non-SCP entities. Because there is different bylaws and different layers of this narratively and what to watch out for. And so the first thing you're going to see in a Site42 video is interacting with actual SCP videos. And so when we interact with an actual SCP video, we are talking about an actual SCP. Here is Dr. Sherman interacting with an actual SCP cosplayer, something that's canon, and that is pretty cool. Now in that scenario, let's say it's a Mallow cosplayer, SCP-1471-A. So, or -1. Is Mallow a -1 or a -A, by the way? I think Mallow's a -A. It would require me to type it properly. Mallow is a -A. Good to know. So, if I'm interacting with a -A cosplayer, a Mallow entity, then Mallow is canon, Dr. Sherman is canon to the wiki, but our interaction there on the page probably is not canon. The likelihood of me reenacting a canon SCP event in a video, well, you've seen that before, so sometimes it is good to bring the adaptation to real life, but very often we're just doing some sort of improv based on memes and popular sounds and culture on the apps. And therefore this Mallow entity and I are making a non-canon situation out of canon characters. That is one level of dealing with these entities online. The secondary version is when I take something that's not an SCP, but it's so close that I interact with it as if it is that SCP. So now this, in the case of Plague Doctors, is very easy. Plague Doctors are a very popular cosplay costume to have online. And I can call any Plague Doctor I want SCP-049. Now, that Plague Doctor is definitely not SCP-049. They are not Creative Commons released. They are not the actual entity. But in my skit, where I interact with them, yes, they are SCP-049 for that purpose. And most of the time, I don't get flack for this. Usually creators are pretty chill with me interacting them from my perspective, even though that's not the perspective they started with, because most creators get that, oh, he's just playing a game with his own character in his own way, not a big deal. And so PESTRiCA knows that I exist and has done videos as 049 with them, and they are chill with it. There's Mama Plague and Plague Mama, I think, are two different ones on TikTok. There's a lot of SCP Plague Doctors, and there was a lot of SCP Plague Doctor dancing girls, which always gets a hit because Dr. Sherman is annoyed and asexual, and that is always funny to see Dr. Sherman bothered by sexy dancing Plague Doctors. Yes, Reggie as well, TNT Therian. Reggie as well for a non-sexy Plague Doctor. Thankfully, there are some out there. And so, in that case, the skid is not canon, nor is the SCP. And then you have the completely non-SCP at all entities. The floating hand spiders. The Ralph the Dapper skeletons. The puberts of the world. And these, I may interact like they're an SCP because I'm in character. But these are not at all SCPs. In any way, the skits are non-canon and there are no canon entities involved. Coney Hawk, in fact, Affleck, that's correct, another one. And so, the trick here is just to remember as you're going through my content in the future, and the content of other creators who are inspired by the way I activate here on YouTube and TikTok and etc., is to make sure you're keeping the lines of what is canon to the SCP Wiki versus what is canon to Site 42 itself, just to keep the lines clear. If only because you don't want to be bothering the actual SCP Wiki with off-site non-canon content, unless you are actively trying to write that into canonicity, in which case, please do so in a respectful and quality writing way, since the SCP Wiki has a quality barrier that you need to get over that hurdle before it becomes canon. We don't want vandalism of the SCP Wiki on our behalf. That is not the way we operate, and so there is morality in creation. I'm always annoyed when people say Siren Head is an SCP. Intern Joestar. In fact, that is one of the problems, is people... This is why I'm making this sentence today, because sometimes I talk about things that are not SCPs as if they are SCPs, because I'm having a fun time. But I'm not actually saying they're SCPs. Siren Head got mistaken for an SCP a whole bunch, because the internet mistakes creepy things for SCPs, because we're so popular. And although Trevor Henderson was annoyed at that, it wasn't as bad as the real problem Trevor was having, which is people attributing Siren Head, not attributing Siren Head to him at all, and making paid fan games of Siren Head, which was super annoying because Siren Head was a copyrighted character that belonged to Trevor Henderson, and they did not have authorization or even ask to make paid games and merch of Siren Head. So while we were a minor annoyance, I will have you know, Trevor doesn't hate us, and was actually super angry about the monetization people way more. But yes, please try to use ethical procedures of attribution when it comes to if something is SCP, if I'm playing with something like it is SCP but it's not, or if I am interacting with something that's not at all SCP and just yapping about it, as well as things by other creators. That way we can keep everybody happy in the artistic community. Also, just for a little stuck in my craw lameness. SCP cosplaying is kind of dumb. Okay, you don't have to watch. But acting is acting. You go to the Ren Fair, everyone's there is in character. You go to the anime conventions, everyone cosplays and has a good time. We're just bringing this IRL situation online. I happen to think it's a pretty fun way to spend the time. And there are plenty of people who seem to agree with me. So, while it might not be your cup of tea, don't yuck my yum, so to speak. Alright, checking the chat real quick. Dr. Sherman, did the puppy of interest 42 ever get home? Dr. Singer, we are still in possession of puppy of interest 42. Unfortunately, my messages to the neighborhood apps have gone unanswered. Well, they have been answered by people sympathizing and oh, puppy so cuting, which is good for the algorithm and getting it out there. But so far we have had no response. And so we are still hoping to find puppy of interest 42's home. But, you know, it takes time, I guess, to get the feelers out there. Affleck, thank you for donating again to say, anyways, Dr. Sherman, I have just rallied the mole rats. We are venturing into the void. Wish us all luck, as it seems to want to stay empty. Are you taking the mole rats into a void? I think that's contraindicated because the mole rats are a tunnel-focused mobile task force. No, if you want a task force for the void, then you want... Who is the task force for spatial anomalies? There's so many, and their names are so oblique that sometimes it's hard to find the right one. White rabbits! White rabbits specialize in traversing unstable, surreal, and controlled reality. I would imagine you would want to take the white rabbits with you, Mobile Task Force Lambda 5, rather than the mole rats. You look like you kiss your homies. Well, intern Tin Man, while I am on the asexual spectrum, and therefore not really caring one way or another, only cowards don't kiss the homies goodnight. So, do better if you are against that. But if you are for that, then good job, you are doing better. Jaden Davis, thank you for your first donation to today's stream. Grab yourself some pucky on your way past the commissary. What happened if you make SCP-682 read SCP-1025? It would refuse to read it. It would close its eyes. That one's pretty easy for it. Gold2 Slayer, thank you for donating again. Anomalous Cobalt to say, well, fine then. All I have to say is look out for underneath the bed next time you sleep. I may or may not have put a shadow spider in there. I will burn down your entire containment cell. There will be no survivors. You do not fuck with me and spiders. No. Intern Andre, welcome to Site 42 staff. Thank you for subscribing. Pimp Demon, thank you for donating again to say, would you rather be stuck in a room with that tree or Jeff? Also, I watched that video and yeah, I understand why you know. Yeah, okay, I'm glad you're caught up now. As I said, most people don't know that situation, so we don't get angry on the first guess. We just tell you, hey, here's the rules, here's why, right on. Secondarily, well, if I have to be stuck in a room with either SCP-4521 or SCP-008-J, codename Jeff, while I would very much like the tree to scream again, and therefore I will enjoy the experiments I do there, SCP-008-J, Jeff, is just a chill guy. And so it depends on how much energy I have that day. If I just want to vibe, I'll hang out with Jeff. But if I have some energy, some gumption that day, then we take it to a tree testing day. Time check. Whoever it was that asked for a time check, what I will say is we are currently 35 minutes into what will be a 1 hour and 35 minute stream. So we have 1 hour remaining. 1 hour remaining. Refreshing the chat. There seems to be a glitch here. Philip November, thank you for donating to the Ko-Fi again to say, Are there any clips of the Plague Doctor stitched with you on YouTube? If you're asking if a Plague Doctor has ever interacted with me, I don't know the answer to that. I know that plenty of our Plague Doctor interaction, where I was the one interacting with the Plague Doctor, that's happened a lot on our YouTube channel. But I don't know if the Plague Doctors have come to me first. Do y'all work with Umbrella also? Well, intern Goins, it's more like, do we continually clean up Umbrella Corporation's messes? They are messy bitches with all of their zombie apocalypses. I mean, we handled SCP-008-J with minimal casualties. Why can't they? Can I make merch of me? Well, SCP-999, all SCPs are Creative Commons release. Now, remember, Creative Commons does not mean that there is no copyright at all, that it's public domain. That is not what that means. When you create something for SCP, you still own the copyright to your work. Every SCP I have written, those belong to me as copyright. But I am free to, what Creative Commons does to copyright is if you want to make merch of, say, George the Chinchilla, my first SCP that I wrote, SCP-3086. If you want to make George the Chinchilla merch, normally if it was just solid copyright, all rights reserved, then you have to come to me personally, or an agent, a lawyer that works for me, and you need to request permission to make your project. And then we negotiate, okay, do you have to give me money for that, or will I just say no outright? And if I say no, then you're not allowed. In the Creative Commons, all that does by releasing Creative Commons is it means that if you follow certain rules, you don't have to ask me to use my work. You can just do it. Creative Commons is putting up a billboard that says, if you do it like this, you can use the work. Don't talk to me, please. And so, our Creative Commons for SCP allows you to remix, reuse, and monetize as long as you credit the original source. And so, if you make merch of SCP-999, you design your merch, you put it up for sale, and somewhere on that page, it needs to say, SCP-999 was written by user who wrote SCP-999, and is released via the Creative Commons 3.0 license, share alike with attribution, and you also have to release your own merch item via the Creative Commons so other people could use your merch themselves. In which case, you will soon have a lot of competition if people reuse your merch if it's that good. This is why it's a little hard to monetize SCP stuff unless you do really good work within the community to rally to the cause. So yes, the answer is you can make merch of SCP-999, and for more information along those lines, for the more granularities of the rules, check out the SCP licensing guide for more intel. I see a Ko-Fi notification. Let me get that before I forget. Philip November, thank you for donating again to the Ko-Fi to say, I meant the Plague Doctor on Twitter that Site42 has been interacting with. So if you look at I don't think PESTRiCA has interacted with us. It's a one-way relationship. PESTRiCA follows me back. They know I exist. They're fine with me. But I don't believe that PESTRiCA has ever duetted one of my videos. And it's probably mostly because most of my videos, I don't really make blank slate videos for people to interact with plainly very often anymore. I used to make videos where I would make a skit, one side of the skit, and let people interact with that skit from their end. And I should go back to doing that more. I need to write more partial skits that people can fill in the blanks. That way they can interact with them. That would be a fun way to get some more content out in the world. Good inspo. Thank you for the inspo. But yes, I have interacted with PESTRiCA multiple times, which are on the YouTube channel. But many of them are under the title SCP-049, so you should check out 049 videos on my channel to be sure that you find them. Alright, let me double check something here. Yup. Gold 2 Slayer, thank you for donating again to say, well, damn, that visceral reaction was definitely something. Fine, I will not put the spiders on your bed. I prefer to have my hide not charred. You have chosen wisely today. Chosen wisely. Hey, Dr. Sherman, what is the main color of your shoes for a drawing? I typically wear black shoes. Guys, me and my friends are doing an SCP cosplay. Hell yes, intern Eloise. Do it. Make a good time happen in the fun SCP cosplay space. Despite what that grumpy person earlier said. How do we know the infinite IKEA is actually infinite? Well, we don't. But when something goes on and on and on and on and on and on long enough, we kind of give it the nickname, moniker, infinite. And anyways, by the way, I'm just saying, I don't believe that the SCP-3008 document actually calls it the infinite IKEA. I am pretty sure that is a colloquial term used by fans of the SCP community. Because the code name of SCP-3008, remember, is a perfectly normal, regular old IKEA. That's the code name, SCP-3008, a perfectly normal, regular old IKEA. Now, if I control F, infinite. Inconclusive results from the use of laser rangefinders has led to the speculation that the space may be infinite. That is the only time that the word infinite shows up in that entire document. So, it is a little bit of a misnomer to call it the infinite IKEA. It would be more accurate to call it the possibly infinite IKEA. But that just doesn't roll off the tongues as much. Philip November, thank you for donating to the Ko-Fi again. Take this and a hot chocolate, just don't look at the marshmallows. Listen, I've got my own bag of marshmallows over here, so it's fine. Everything is okay for Homestar Wanna. And thank you for the hot chocolate. Do 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 do. There we go, clear. Dr. Sherman, if you were an avatar Na'vi, which type would you be? Okay, so confession, I've only seen the first Avatar movie. It was very, 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 very pretty. I saw it in 3D. That was really cool. But I found the story so bare and boring that I could not hold my interest. And so I did not go to see the second or third one. Therefore, I do not know anything except for the first movie's Na'vi. So I guess dealer's choice? Although if you were looking at me from an Avatar perspective, Avatar meaning the elements, and I'm talking about the bending of elements now, we're going back to Nickelodeon days, then if I'm looking at elemental bending, I am typically consider myself either an airbender or a firebender. And so if there's elements to the Na'vi, which I believe there are, maybe that could lead you to I guess probably prioritize airbending first and firebending second. I've stopped watching movies. Most of them aren't interesting anymore. Intern Rosehill, I have a couple movie YouTubers that I trust that when they give a review of a movie, I can find it pretty good. And so, Movie Bob is one of them. Patrick Willems is a fantastic movie YouTuber. Movies with Mikey is a fantastic channel that I think is slowing down production a lot, which is very sad. I hate when entertainment YouTubers can't survive on the platform when I think they are fantastic. It's a tough world out in these streets. Thank you, Site42 Containment Hazard Assessment Team, for helping me out in that sense. But, yeah, if they say a movie's good, I'm usually likely to check it out and be entertained by it, because you want a movie critic whose tastes align with yours. It's very often that people trust critics blindly without considering that person's taste, and it causes them to see a movie that critic liked, but they don't like it because they don't like the same thing the critic liked. How many times can I say like or critic in one sentence? So, yes, I find a lot of good movies today, but I know where to look and who to ask for my taste. So I hope you can find the people who give you the taste for movies that allow you to enjoy them. Philip November, thank you for donating again to the Ko-Fi to say, do you like books? If so, you should check out Forging Hephaestus. It's about superheroes, villains, and how the line between them is pretty blurry. Well, that does sound like an interesting concept for a book. You know, I spend most of my time with an online writing community, so, you know, reading is something I do a lot of, although I don't read so many books, because my reading is pretty chewed up by the SCP database. That said, I do have a favorite book series, the Dresden Files, that I talk about rather often. And, Forging Hephaestus, I mean, you're sitting here. Dispatch was just a very popular game that went super viral, and that's about superheroes and supervillains and the line between them, so, man, seems like a theme this year. I am planning on cosplaying Mallow or the Plague Doctor on my channel soon when YouTube stops turning off my comments. Any thoughts on others to cosplay, preferably ones I don't have to show my face? Faceless characters in the SCP community, obviously 049 and Mallow were right. SCP-035 is a faceless character. Murphy Law, if you dip the hat enough and you put your face in shadow with some dramatic lighting, Murphy Law can be a faceless character. There are a bunch of faceless characters. I would just look at a list of SCP anomalies and run down the list. Intern Evans, welcome to Site42 staff. Thank you for subscribing. Philip November, thank you for donating again to say, isn't Dresden supposed to get another book soon? Yeah, it is. Coming in January, baby! New Dresden Files book. I am seated. I am waiting. Hell yeah. It's hard for me to get into a new good book. Last book series I read was the Dragon Codex books, and you know what? They weren't half bad, but not Shakespeare. Oh, Goldtooth Lair. The Dresden Files are not good books in the way that people call good books good books. They are pulpy, goofy novels. The lore is this book series, which is now like 18 books in or something like that. The author was in a creative writing class, and after getting mad at the notes he was getting on his book from the teacher, he wrote literally the worst book he could think of and submitted that as an assignment. And the professor said, oh, this is actually really good. You should write these books. And so it's built on writing the most tropey bad thing you can make. But sometimes you put together the bad ingredients and you get a magically good food. It's a little crazy the way it works out sometimes. Honestly, iconic. Agreed. Green-coded. Agreed. I know some of you have said this several times this stream, and I don't know who it is, everybody, but what's the phrase I'm looking for? Many of you have told me that the likes are above the viewers, and now I have finally stopped yapping long enough to notice. So congratulations, Mobile Task Force Sci-42, codename Signal Boosters, and everybody who told me, thank you. The likes are far above the viewer count, almost double. And every time you hit that like button, the YouTube algorithm deigns to bring us more people. And maybe some of them will be SCP haters, and they can go along their way. Some of them will be rude bastards, of which we will send them on their way. But many of those people will be cool people showing up and being like, hey, I don't know what this SCP thing is. Maybe I should hang out a minute. And that's how we get them. And that's how we make them into SCP fans. So thank you for hitting that like button, for yanking the YouTube algorithm's chain and forcing it to do our bidding in order to help us support the SCP Wiki and its authors, artists, animators, game devs, filmmakers, merch makers, etc. Thank you for your service. Philip November, thank you for donating again to the Ko-Fi to say, have you seen the Villain Support series? They've done a few videos on Dresden and Fred the Vampire. We've interacted with Villain Support before, back and forth. Villain Support are cool guys. Yeah, we've done a video with them, and they've done a video with us, I believe. Exactly. Without that, I wouldn't be in the community, much less writing my first article right now. I am happy to have assisted Green Coded, and I hope you make a damn fine article that impresses the people, stays on the wiki as canon because it got the upvotes because you followed the writing process, and then we have another SCP Wiki author in the world, and more SCP content being made, which will inspire more people to make adaptations of SCP, and all of our plans come to fruition. Our evil and sexy plans. Oh, need to refresh that browser. Sheesh. Forest, water, air, or ash? I think of the four, Dr. Val, I might be in the air category there. Evil and what? Listen, Maxtree, just because I am an asexual person does not mean I am not sexy as hell. You can be objectively attractive and still not be interested in the doink doink. And so, yes, just because I'm not into it doesn't mean I am not it. Amber, I've been listening to the Lonely Island podcast with Seth Meyers, and so that was a bit of an Andy Sambergism that has crept into my speech. Are you a Trump supporter? Me? I can't stand that SCP-5004-B is in office past this point. I would rather have Dr. Clef as president at this point. Horrible as that would be. What's your opinion on SCP-001, The World Turns Beautiful? Well, Intern Food, The World's Gone Beautiful is my favorite SCP-001 article. Of the SCP-001s, I think it's in a very small package. It delivers a very evocative imagery. And so, also, if the world is going to end, I really hope that's the way it goes. In other words, just a chain of more content inspires more people to make more content. And that, intern Hammock, is the circle of life. Making more good art now. Once I found shitty Klefdraki smut on Wattpad. I never cried harder than that day. Well, Rose Hill, after you, I think it was you who was reading the Ship in a Bottle canon the other day on my behest, wasn't it? And in that case, what you're reading is quality Klefdraki smut. Completely different. Philip November, thank you for donating again to say, gotta go get supplies for my aquatic babies, aka my fish. Will you feed those fish and other supplies those fish need Take care of your fish. And we'll see you later. You know what? It does make me wonder if there's actually a Kobold SCP out there. Possibly not, but then again, there's so many of them that they could probably actually be one. So, all we need to do, Gold Tooth Slayer, is to go to the search function of the SCP Wiki and search for the word Kobold. And there is a Dr. Johannes Kobold. There is in a Global Occult Coalition article, there is it's NTE 2858 Cyan Bleka, and this has someone yelling, "That filthy kobold tricked me!" And so I don't know who is yelling or why that kobold tricked them, but there we go. In the Wilderness, a tale seems to have a kobold talking. And then there's a lot of kobolds with an E on the end, which I've never heard of that spelling, but it doesn't seem shocking. And so SCP-2957 mentions kobolds. So yes, you've got options here, Gold Tooth Slayer. Also, really appreciate the good wishes. Hoping my article will stay up on the site once I am finally finished. Still in the first draft after months, determined to make it perfect. That sounds like you're putting in the work, Green Coded. Have you, since this is your first article you're working on, have you done the green light process with the wiki? Have you gotten critique from any other authors yet? Because those are usually great tools in making sure your SCP is likely to survive. You have done both. Excellent. Then you sound like you are on your path to victory. Keep up the good work. I can't wait to see you get your success. Dr. Sherman, what is your favorite Sonic game? Well, Sonic Adventure 1 and Sonic Adventure 2. Those were damn fine Sonic games. And I had a Dreamcast, a rare Dreamcast, and that was a good time. Also, anyone who had a Dreamcast gets activated by the words Power Stone 2. Classic. That was some good stuff. Then again, when I found it, it was the type of shitty of the kind of person who doesn't know how to write smut. It could have been worse, but it was bad. Woof. I say, at least the smut on the SCP Wiki is voted on and reaches the quality barrier. Dr. Sherman, I found a gem on YouTube. It's a movie you were in when you were younger. Oh, Lord. Yes, I did see that you had sussed out and followed my personal YouTube channel that I use for demo reels of old works, which are now so out of date that I really should take that thing down, but it's there for posterity. Yes, that channel actually sends me an email notification when people subscribe because it's so rare and shocking. So, oh no, more than that? What do you mean more than that? What more than that is there? Okay, now I'm getting worried, Zombie Cat. I don't even know what you're talking about. That's how worried I am. SCP-049-Mix. No, you may not go outside. Your promises of not causing havoc are normally false. You are staying locked up. What did you do for the holidays? Well, Intern Dum Dum, all I did, mostly after I did my daily streams, because the streak remains strong, is I sat on a couch as a puppy bed, because of Puppy of Interest 42, who we found lost in the street and are trying to find its owners. And Puppy of Interest 42 has decided that I am by far the best puppy bed in the house. And so I was basically just a sleeping puppy bed for most of Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Not that I'm super complaining. Martyrs and Marauders Zombie Cat. Okay, that was not a movie, it was a web series that never fully took off, but yes, there was some good stuff in there. Oh, that's why, because they're using the folklore term of kobold, that being a gnome or a goblin-like creature and not a scaly creature. Ah, interested. Yeah, I was recommended it. Wait, you were recommended it by YouTube? Did YouTube recommend that? Is it telling people who know Site 42 about Martyrs and Marauders? Oh my gosh. That was a trip to film, man. That happened way back before the pandemic. And yeah, that was, we went out into the land and we rented out a garage for some scenes that I don't think that episode ever went out. But an interesting process and gave me some good insights into the process of both filmmaking and trying to crowdfund a filmmaking effort. I'm sorry about me saying I will that sorry. Well, thank you, Intern Melon Guy. Please do not do that again. That is a very triggering thing for people who have been in that place before. It is a lot of responsibility on the people who you are doing it to. And it does not feel good for anyone. So I appreciate that you will not do it again. There's one episode and I found your interview first. Ah, so we never dropped episodes 2 or 3. I've seen some clips of 2 and 3, but they never got posted. Cool shirt. Where's it from? Intern IRL. This is a Tommy Bahama branded button-up shirt, short sleeve from Macy's. Hashtag not sponsored. Hashtag, you know, I should start putting some of the Macy's, some of the Tommy Bahama shirts I wear in the stream things. That could probably do some YouTube shopping numbers. Although be careful, because these are expensive shirts, and I am a cheap bastard. Oh, no. I buy these on sale with extra discounts. I do not pull full price on these. That is not how we do. I go in on a sale day with like 30% off. I got the extra discount coupons. We are stacking coupons here. We are gonna pop some tags. Only got $20 in my pocket. I'm hunting. I'm looking for a come up. This is fucking awesome. Where was I? I got distracted. Yes, that is what I mean. Yes, Tommy Bahama shirts, not sponsored. Although you do have me wondering, now that I think about it, I might do that. YouTube Shopping has been yelling at me because I haven't been using it. Might not be a terrible idea. We'll think about it. What's the weirdest thing you've done to SCP-999? Well, Intern RR, I would think when I say the word weird, I mean out of context, out of character, unusual in this case. And that would make the weirdest thing we've done to SCP-999 the Asset Florida Orange canon. Because the Asset Florida Orange canon, we dumped SCP-999 into a giant blender with a giant hydraulic press that pushes it down into the blender to blend it into medicinal use that we use to improve morale at the Foundation. We don't completely destroy SCP-999 because then we feed it a bunch of candy to bulk it back up so we can blend it again. It's dark, but highly effective, but dark. The things we remember. Thank you for your first donation to today's stream. Grab yourself a crepe on your way past the commissary. Got the Omega card box, and it's so cool. Thank you for doing the collaboration. Hey, I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear you are enjoying those SCP playing cards. I told you they were sponsored, and they are of a high quality. I enjoy them as a merch piece. You know, I don't play a lot of cards, but I do have a lot of knickknacks, and especially for SCP stuff, so they make good knick-knackery. Plus, the Dr. Sherman card is pretty dope. Goldtooth Lair, thank you for donating again to say, well, last donation here. But with this last donation comes a question. Any tips for people that want to write anything for the SCP Foundation? Well, first of all, I'm going to give you 3 sets of tips here. Number 1, reminder, we have a writing tip video here on the channel. It's called SCP Writing Tips from SCP Writers. And that is a compilation of short tips that you could watch. Number 2, basic answer, generic answer. Practice your writing in general. Take writing classes. Do a lot of reading. And especially critical thinking and critical analysis, which is not just reading a story and enjoying it, but reading a story and breaking down why the person wrote it like that, what information were they trying to convey, and why did they convey it that way? Were they foreshadowing something? Were they paying off some foreshadowing? Were they putting in... there's a lot of reasons that writers do what they do for story mechanical purposes. You want to be able to check that out and understand it. Which also leads to reading the website TV Tropes. TV Tropes is a crazy massive wiki, sister site of the SCP Wiki, they're friends, and they break down every trope and cliche in fiction and show you every film, TV, comic book, everything in media that has used that trope. And when you start thinking in tropes, that helps your critical thinking skills. You're spotting things. You're able to reuse those ideas later on yourself. So you're growing your vernacular for writing and critical thinking analysis. And then finally, read a whole bunch of SCPs. That way, you understand the format and you start using those critical thinking skills on the SCPs to understand why they did that. A great example of this is Radiger's new series breaking down the writing of various SCPs. Friend of the channel, Radiger, is one of your favorite SCP YouTuber's favorite SCP YouTuber. And checking out Radiger's breakdowns will help you to understand how to break them down yourself. And third and finally, a quick, dirty way to write SCP stories or even a D&D campaign, any story, is to think chronologically about events and what people do and why, and how those events affect what comes next. The tale, Ignorance is Bliss on the wiki, the only tale I have written, was written very much like I would do my D&D campaigns. Here's a character. What situation does he wake up in? What does he do next? Where he has gone, what happens there? Why does it happen? What does he do in response? How does he end up? Where is he now? What's there? What happens? How does he respond? And you can build a flow that gets through the scenario, and then you have a story out of it. And so this is a lot of ways you can do improving and practicing your writing. That was a lot. It was rather scattershot, but I hope this helps. Shit. SCP. Ah, hell. The NCR is here. Scarlett, thank you for donating for the first time today, as well as being a member. Grab yourself an orange soda on your way past the commissary. Sorry for missing part of the stream. I'm still sorting out my phone. What about blending 999? Dr. Sherman, why? Anyway, I have more stuff to do. Bye. Well, like I said, we blended 999 to create a concoction that would improve morale around the Foundation. I mean, it's right there in the text of Asset Florida, so yes. And good luck with your new phone. Out of all the contained Gzi at the Foundation, which one do you think is the most interesting? Well, Intern Hex, out of the 5 Gzi contained at the Foundation, SCP-029-J, Uber Driver Jesus, SCP-3305, oh, hello, puppy of interest. Oh, no, running away again. Well, didn't want to say hi that badly, I guess. As we was saying, Bread Jesus, SCP-3305, SCP-4477, Cockblock Jesus, SCP-5991, Vor Jesus, and SCP-6542, Milk Jesus, otherwise known as Cheesus. I think the most interesting, the one that piques my interest the most is Vor Jesus, SCP-5991. It's just so out there with how did they find out eating a whole Bible without condiments would work? What is the deal with Vor Jesus and the second Vor Jesus inside its stomach? Why is there a Jesus Land theme park there? And why was eating the Bible the price of admission? I'm very interested because there's a lot going on there that's kind of crazy. Uber Driver Jesus is just too chill not to love. You're correct, Dr. Frogman. Don't get me wrong. Uber Driver Jesus is super chill and a righteous dude. It's just not as interesting as in the use of the word interesting. I need to redraw the Cyberpunk/Tron inspired Dr. Sherman. I actually have lore and plot for him now. Oh man, I've been itching thinking about playing Cyberpunk 2077 again. I played it over the winter with my broken ankle, and so I was stuck on the couch and I started just playing it because I needed to play something. And ooh, that was a good game. Could use a second playthrough maybe. What life path did you choose? Intern Amatsu. My first playthrough, I went as the Corpo to see what would happen. Oh, by the way, time check. We are currently 20 minutes from the end of stream, everyone. 20 minutes from the end of stream. So get your last questions in. We're getting close. Dr. Sherman, I got the gender switching potion again. 049 mix, that's very strange because we don't have a gender switching potion. We do have a gender switching stone, which you have free access to, so I wouldn't know why you would try some sort of potion that Can you even drink potions? Your mask obstructs your entire mouth, so you can't... I don't even know how you talk under that thing, really. There's no way you could be eating or drinking. Curious. What would happen if SCP-096 looks at another SCP-096? They know how ugly they are, and they do not care if another 096 knows it, because they already know. They only care when outsiders know. So 096s don't attack each other. They attack everyone else. Hey, I just found my copy of Power Stone 2 after you mentioned it. What a coincidence. Yes. Dr. Sherman, are there any SCPs that are a sentient computer virus or something like that? Intern Bill, you need to look into the Artificial Intelligence Applications Division, the AIAD of the SCP Foundation. They deal with a whole lot of anomalous AIs, artificial intelligence constructs, computer viruses that are sentient, all sorts of stuff like that. Oh yeah, we've got lots of those. Intern Connor, welcome to Site-42 staff. Thank you for subscribing. Dr. Sherman, I think SCP-096 escaped the facility. You are incorrect, Intern Christine. SCP-096 is safe in its containment cell where it belongs. We would have heard the alarms by now. I guess this is another question, but if someone handed you a rough draft of an SCP, would you actually look at it and give criticism back? Myself? No. No, because of the amount of people I have asking me that very question, it would be very unfair of me to do just one person and not the rest. And if I agreed to do them all every time I'm asked, I would be doing nothing else. It's the terror of having a platform this size. So unfortunately, I cannot critique prospective SCPs. I only cover SCPs once they are on the SCP database proper. But if you go, as Green Coded says, if you go to the SCP Discord server, not the Site-42 Discord server, although you can do so in the Site-42 Discord server, there's just not so many SCP authors there, so you're likely to get a more low-level critique. But if you go to the SCP official Discord server, there are a bunch of SCP authors that hang out there, and you can get critique from some. Are you willing to give friends like Desk Crit, or is that everyone with a capital E? Dr. Frogman, there are very few people who I would say yes to who are personal friends. But outside of personal friends, if it comes to the fandom, I cannot open that gate. Affleck, thank you for donating again to say, Dr. Sherman, we must contain the French, effective immediately. Are you talking about SCP-049 because it is French? Or are you talking about the entirety of the French people? Because one of those is much more difficult than the other. The entirety of the French people. Okay, you're going to need to justify to me why the French are anomalous, because the French are, besides having the country of France, there's also a great deal of them in Canada and several other places. So this is not going to be an easy containment. Is the Site-42 Discord exclusive to patrons? No, Green Coded. Site-42's Discord is not exclusive to patrons. The link to it is hidden, though, sort of an Easter egg hunt. That's because the SCP Wiki, it has the age requirement, but it also has a secret process that you have to go through to get membership. It's meant to weed out just random trolls and people who are not worthy, so to speak. And so SCP Site-42's Discord server also has a bit of an Easter egg hunt to prove you're up to snuff to join. But we do give a hint at the end of stream traditionally, if you are present at the end of stream. Oh, although I do believe a link is given to people who can become Patreon patrons, and therefore they are granted instant access without having to do the Easter egg hunt. So there is a, I guess, a pay-to-win aspect there, now that I think about it. I never thought about that until now. But when you asked, it reminded me that, yes, I believe Patreon patrons get a Discord link. At least I'm fairly sure. Dr. Sherman, does the Scarlet King like pickles? I must know, please answer. Intern Yarnman, in what world, in what universe do you think I have conversed with the Scarlet King on such a casual context that I found out its pickle preferences? No, I don't know the answer to that question. I have no reason to believe I should know the answer to that question. Intern Ski says, shut up. Well, it's been about 81 minutes into this stream, and I haven't shut up yet, so I doubt you're going to be the one to get me to. Dr. Sherman, can you please explain to Dr. Shaw that we'll be no longer helping in the antics that they do, because the last time I helped, they turned my favorite pen into an instance of SCP-096. They turned your pen into a Shy Guy? Furthermore, I'm not getting involved in your inter-office drama. You tell them. Dude, I used to watch you all the time. Well, I have been at this for 10 years now, and so it's not shocking that people come and go and come and go from the site. There's a lot going on in the world, and it's rather hard to stay attached to one thing for that long for a lot of people. Time check, Clipsy. Well, it is currently 12 minutes until the end of stream, so we are taking last-minute questions, or last 12-minute questions, I guess. What is the most funny-looking SCP in your opinion? A funny-looking SCP, I mean... I guess the clowns from Herman Fuller's Circus of the Disquieting are pretty funny looking. I mean, funny ha-ha in that sense, as well as funny weird because they are clown skin suits that hide anomalous eldritch beings. And the milking process is pretty funny looking as well. Don't drink the clown milk. Do you think SCP-343 can kill the Scarlet King? No. SCP-343 is not the Christian God, is not capital G God as it claims to be. It's a reality bender with delusions of grandeur. It exists in our universe, and our universe alone. The Scarlet King is a multiversal monstrosity and will smite 343 without a second thought. I added Dr. Sherman as a cameo in my comic. The comic is not related to SCP. Well, Intern Mary, that is quite interesting. I hope Dr. Sherman did not do anything too crazy. Not that a Creative Commons character can really be reined in that way anyways. Interpretation is up to the artist. Do you want a hug, Dr. Sherman? It's free. SCP-049 Mix. Your touch is lethal. If I hug you, I die. So the answer is no. Affleck, thank you for donating again to say, Dr. Sherman, I am putting you on SCP-72. I duty. The hell you are. As usual, you can bid with other staff members to weasel out of it regardless. Regards, 054. The hell you are. I ain't doing that shit. Bitch, I'm the site director. I will find a way out. Dr. Sherman, what's your favorite interpretation of SCP-001? Also, what's your theory canonically on why there's so many different files on it? So, Intern Derb, we talked about this a little earlier, but SCP-001, codename Lily's Proposal, The World's Gone Beautiful, is my favorite SCP-001 article. It's a very short article with some very powerful and evocative imagery. Furthermore, of course, we're not going to tell you the actual SCP-001. It's such a classified object that we need to obscure what it is by any means necessary. It is highly classified for that matter. Just a Factory, thank you for your first donation to today's stream as well as being a member. And thank you for making the effort to donate through the Ko-Fi, which has a 3% fee that creators pay for your donation, as opposed to the 30% tax that YouTube takes. So we appreciate the effort making that jump. Grab yourself some bratwurst on your way past the commissary. Been working on some fan art for Friday, wondering if Linux rice would count as fan art. The physical art I made is the wallpaper. Well, if I don't know what a Linux rice is, but a wallpaper on, I guess, an SCP wallpaper would work. I also did a blood donation this morning, so now I'm on recovery mode for the rest of the day. Ah, yes. Congratulations on your giving of bodily fluids for the safety of others who lack them. A healthy thing to do indeed. Saving lives through the blood drive is important. SCP is so cool. Intern Hansi, I am inclined to agree with you. Seeing how SCP-682 is similar to the entity known as Godzilla Ultima, would it be possible to disconnect 682 from extra-dimensional source and thus terminate it? Theoretically, that could work. The question is, how? Do you have any ideas? Because I'm a bit lost on the subject, considering we've erased it from consensus reality and it just popped back into existence. That link seems to be pretty durable. So the question is, how do you break said link? Is Dr. Kudraki feeling at least any better since Wednesday's crash out? Just don't remind Kandraki about the situation, and he'll calm down a lot faster. Just a Factory, thank you for your 7-month member message as a level 1 researcher. We appreciate your membership and your service. A Linux Rice is a customized Linux desktop ENV. I don't know what the ENV part is. I don't know if that's a cutoff word or something I should know, but I don't do Linux, so I am fairly tech illiterate. But yes, I assume a desktop background could count if that's where you're putting your fan art. It might be more convenient to send the picture than the picture of the computer as the wallpaper, unless there's something about the wallpaper that makes it, being the wallpaper of a computer, part of the fan art scenario. This could work. Have you heard of the channel Keter Labs? They're making an SCP movie. Intern Derb, we have in fact, and we've had a call with them to discuss their marketing and plans for the future. Good guys, good heads on their shoulders as far as I can tell. And they've got a good eye for the business end of making films and shows, except at least what I can tell from the conversation we had in the videos they put out on the subjects. So I'm looking forward to helping them with their project in the future. Okay, Site 42 staff, 4 minutes left in stream. 4 minutes left. What is your favorite Global Occult Coalition story of them trying to destroy something and it absolutely fails? So, Der Kaiser Gwim, I do not have really a favorite GOC story of them failing to destroy anything. I mean, we could all quote the chair at them again, because that's always funny to make fun of them. But that is not, that's pretty stereotypical. Everyone knows about the chair that the Global Occult Coalition messed up with. But what I will give you for that question is a SCP 4290. SCP 4290 is a story of a very dangerous anomaly. Containment class Keter, disruption class level 5 Amida, risk class level 5 critical, level 5 top secret. 4290 is a big deal. And I am going to spoil nothing of this story. It's not very long, despite the danger level. But please either read SCP-4290 or listen to our recording of it here on the channel as your homework today. Because 4290, ooh, that's a good article. Shout out to SCP author Nat Voltaic for that article. Level 1 researcher member 1 month message retracted. You retracted your message and it actually took away your name and user picture. So I don't know who the hell you were. Thanks YouTube for doing that while my back was turned. But thank you for your membership regardless of this situation. You retracted your message. I hope that you're doing okay, whoever you are. And Jackal Valcoon, thank you for your first donation to today's stream as well as being a member. Grab yourself some burnt ends on your way past the commissary. Dr. Sherman, give me testing command of SCP-914. No! Just the fact that you're yelling makes me think that you are not professional enough for such an important job. No! Burgers and Dogs, thank you for your first donation to today's stream. Grab yourself some burgers and dogs on your way past the commissary. What if 049 thinks mental illness or something psychological is what he thinks the pestilence is? First of all, SCP-049 is an SCP, which means we treat it as an object, not a person. It is an it, not a he. Please practice proper pronoun parlance protocols at the Foundation. What it thinks the pestilence is, since it was common during the medieval ages. Well, we have not found any like mental illnesses between the people that 049 has claimed have the pestilence. So that's a bit of a dead end. We don't have a matching list of psychological maladies that match between pestilence victims, unfortunately. And Site 42 staff, that brings us to the end of today's stream. The end of today's stream has cometh, and at the end of every stream, it's a tradition around here, I tell you guys my favorite SCPs. Of course, I'm not going to say the SCPs I personally wrote are my favorites. That would be cheating and sheer narcissism. I wouldn't do that to you. But if you want to read the SCPs I personally wrote, you can go to the Sherm Site 42 hub and author page on the SCP database. There you can see the SCPs I personally wrote, as well as some that I did voice lines for or sound effects. And one link over, one page over, tab over on my author page from those SCPs is a list of links. Links that people are very interested in finding, but they just don't look hard enough. They can't seem to find the links no matter how much they want to find them. But of course, that's not you guys. Mobile Task Force Psi 42, codename Signal Boosters, is way too powerful for that. And so enjoy those links and thank you for checking them out. While you're there, you become a Site 42 Patreon patron or YouTube channel member to donate to us monthly. You can do Ko-Fi donations or YouTube Super Chats to donate to us once at a time. Either way, direct donations are the quickest way to help us keep the lights on here at Site 42, so we appreciate your direct donations. And hey, if you're part of the Broke Gang, and trust me, we're an arts community, starving artists are a thing for a reason. As long as you are doing the like, share, subscribe mambo on all of our videos and streams, as well as those of the SCP creators we support, such as Keter Labs making live-action films with Andrea Joshua as Nikar, such as the animated series like Just Alice's Anomalies, or the SCP Wiki, its authors, artists, animators, game devs, filmmakers, merch makers, etc. As long as you're helping us bring up the SCP community through engagement, you are still an honored and valued member of Mobile Task Force Psi 42, codename the Signal Boosters, and we appreciate your service. Now, without further ado, my favorite SCPs in no particular order are SCP-3999, SCP-3043, SCP-008-J, SCP-Spooky-J, SCP-5031, SCP-5175, SCP-5320, and SCP-8980. Content warning on that last one, it's a bit of a rough read. Speed round. 3999-3043-008-J, Spooky-J, 5031-5175-5320-8980. Content warning on the last one is a rough read. Site 42 staff, this has been Dr. Theron Sherman, Site Director here at Site 42 of the SCP Foundation. This has been another Dr. Sherman's Office Hours, a subsidiary of the anomalous broadcast from Site 42. I hope you had fun. I hope you learned something. Be safe, be well, and as always, secure, contain, protect. I'll see you in the next video or stream. How can I just let you walk away? Just let you leave without a trace. When I stand here taking every breath with you. Ooh, you're the only one who really knew me at all. How can you just walk away from me when all I can do is watch you leave? 'Cause we shared the laughter and the pain, and even shared the tears. You're the only one who really knew me at all. So take a look at me now. Well, there's just an empty space, and there's nothing left here to remind me, just the memory of your face. Well, take a look at me now. Well, there's just an empty space, and you coming back to me is against the odds, and that's what I've gotta face. The credit song is Against All Odds by Phil Collins, but covered by the Postal Service. Be safe, be well, Site 42 staff. Secure, contain, protect.